Today, we're going to dig into the blueprint of how a teenager becomes the architect of their own life. How they go from childhood dependence to becoming a self-directed adult.
Think about it this way. How does a teenager go from being a passenger, just kind of along for the ride, to being the one in the driver's seat of their own life? It's a huge and, let's be honest, sometimes bumpy transition, and it's the big question we're tackling today.
Well, there's a name for that final destination. It's called self-determination. Our source material defines it as the ability to act as the main cause of events in your own life. So it's not just about making a few choices here and there. It's about being the primary force that's actually shaping your path forward.
So how in the world does this happen? Well, we can break it down into 3 core pillars: the power to choose, the skills to act, and finally, the belief in yourself. Let's walk through each one of these building blocks.
All right, let's start with pillar number 1, the power to choose. This is the absolute foundation, and it's all about understanding what's called volitional action, which is just a way of saying you're acting out of your own free will and intention.
And this power to choose, it's so much more than just picking between option A or option B. We're talking about making conscious, intentional choices that genuinely reflect who you are, your interests, your values. It's about being the one to start an action and thinking ahead, planning for what's next.
And this points to a really key shift during the teenage years. The source material highlights that adolescence is a time of intense interest in the future. For the first time, teens really start to connect the dots and realize that the things they do today are literally building the foundation for their tomorrow.
Okay, so you've got the power to choose, but what good is a blueprint if you don't have a toolbox, right? That brings us to pillar number 2. The skills to act. This is where we go from just wanting something to happen to actually doing something about it. This is all about what we call agentic action.
So what's in this toolbox? A whole set of absolutely critical skills that really come into their own during the teen years. We're talking about problem solving, making good decisions, learning how to advocate for yourself, setting and actually reaching goals, and self-regulation. These are the practical tools that turn an idea into a reality. Let's just zoom in on one of these for a second. The source points out that social problem solving is a skill that really levels up during adolescence. Teens get so much better at seeing a problem from different angles, coming up with multiple solutions, and, this is a big one, understanding what actually motivates other people. Now, here's a totally fascinating part of teen decision-making: risk. This slide kind of shows the difference. A teen's brain often zeroes in on the potential rewards of a situation and might, downplay the risks involved. A more mature brain, on the other hand, gets way better at weighing the actual probability of something going wrong and how serious those consequences could be.
Okay, next up in our toolbox is finding your voice. Self-advocacy is basically the ability to stand up for your own views and interests. And what's really crucial here is that as a teen's sense of who they are, their self-identity gets more stable, their ability to advocate for themselves gets that much stronger.
This timeline really shows how a teen's entire perspective shifts over time. Just look at how their goals evolve. In early adolescence, it's often all about fun, about leisure. Then, school and education become a much bigger focus. And by late adolescence, they're thinking about the really big picture stuff: careers, family, maybe even property. Their goals literally grow up right alongside them.
And the skill that helps manage all of this? That's self-regulation. This isn't just about self-control. It's really about being the active director of your own movie, steering yourself toward your goals and being able to delay that instant gratification for a much bigger payoff down the road.
So we've got the power to choose, and we've got the skills to act. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, and it's an internal one. That's pillar 3, the belief in yourself. This is the mindset, the engine, that makes the other 2 pillars actually fire on all cylinders. The technical term for this is action control beliefs. But what does that really mean? It's that deep down belief that your actions actually matter. It's the conviction that you have some control over your life, and that the things you do can lead to the outcomes you want. It's that little voice inside that says, yeah, I can do this.
Now, what's really interesting here is that this belief isn't just some vague feeling of general confidence. The source explains that over time, teens start to realize that different areas of life are, well, different. The skills you need to ace a test aren't the same ones you need to navigate your social life. Their belief system gets way more nuanced and specific.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together now. We have the 3 pillars. So how do they combine to create a self-determined teen out in the real world? And maybe just as important, what's the role for parents and caregivers in all of this?
This is so important. The source gives us this fantastic quote that completely flips the script on the classic idea of teenage rebellion. It says that detachment and rebellion aren't natural at all. They're often reactions to situations where a teen's basic psychological needs are being frustrated. It's not a declaration of war, it's more like a cry for help. And that brings us to a really critical distinction. The goal isn't for teens to just break away and become independent. It's about supporting their volitional functioning, which means helping them develop the skills and confidence to make their own meaningful choices while still feeling connected and supported.
So here it is, the whole blueprint in one place. You can really see how the three pillars fit perfectly together. It all starts with volitional action. That's the power to choose. That power is then supported by agentic action, the skills to actually do something. And the whole thing is powered by action control beliefs, that fundamental belief in yourself. That's the formula for becoming the main character in your own life.
But what fuels this entire engine? Well, underneath it all are three basic psychological needs that we all have. Autonomy, which is the need to feel in control of our own lives. Competence, the need to feel effective and capable. And relatedness, that need to feel connected to other people. These three needs are really the why behind this entire journey.
So, we've just walked through the entire blueprint for how a person becomes self-determined. And that leaves us with one final thought, a question to take with you. What is one thing you can do today to help a teen in your life start building their own future?